Good evening, everyone. It is May 13th. Oops, no, it's not. It is June 13th.
That's the month.
At 6:30 p.m. And this is the regular monthly meeting of the Fitchburg's Transportation and Transit Commission, back to our regular time after last month. Let's see, who are we missing for Dina?
No one.
Just the two vacancies.
Oh, we only have 5. Okay, so all the filled seats are represented, and there is no member of the public here for any other non-agenda items, so we will go to, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. So that was Gabrielle and Elizabeth. All in favor of approving, any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Micah says aye. Very good. So we will move ahead with the agenda. Now we'll talk about May 13th. Let's start with a motion to accept the minutes. Thank you, Bill. And any seconds?
Second.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I did have a discussion item under the composition of the Transportation and Transit Commission 6A. Did we really try to amend it after we approved the main motion? I didn't go back and look at the video, but does anybody remember?
We did. I looked at that as well. We didn't, but I think it was just the fastest way to write the minutes. Whereas the main motion did end up passing when we rejected the amendment.
Okay, so
It's not representative of the order.
I think, yeah. So
But
I think
it's accurate.
I moved that amendment for the purpose of discussion, and then it failed.
okay, so I would ask then that the minutes, I would move that the minutes be corrected to move the words "main motion carried unanimously" to the end as a new sentence. Is there a second for that?
Second. You just want to swap those two paragraphs?
No, because
Just move that one.
Okay.
because
Phrase.
Chronologically, this is the way it went.
yeah, the
Okay.
motion to approve did occur when it says it did.
Okay.
So there was a second on my motion?
Yes.
Okay, Bill. Any discussion on that? We've already had a little, but any more? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment to the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And on the main, Micah?
Yeah, he said.
I think you just said.
Okay, I didn't hear. And on the main motion to accept the minutes as amended, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. So they pass unanimously as amended. And we are on to council items. No, we're on to report from staff. Sorry. No, we're on.
Yeah,
Fine.
report from staff.
Report from
You're
staff.
right.
Oh, I'm looking at the minutes from
Get rid of
those. Okay, back over here. Staff report, and I would be interested in hearing about the Beltline PEL, locally preferred alternative, as part of your report.
Okay.
Because we had some meetings on that.
Okay. I can get back to you on the Beltline PEL LPA. I have not done my homework on that.
Okay.
There is a video we can watch. Is that true? The Zoom recording is out there?
Yeah,
And the
I believe
slideshow
so.
one, I think.
the main issue with it is comments are due by the end of the month. And I can submit my own comments, but if we want any comments from Fitchburg, I think Ross and I agreed that they can't really come from us, they have to come from the council. And so if we want to propose that the council do something other than vote yes, we ought to tell them, and it's not on the agenda, and that's a problem. And the thing I'm concerned about is that the locally preferred alternative leaves open capacity. is open to the possibility of capacity increases, even though all the localities vehemently said that they don't want that. Flex lane extensions and additional lanes. And so what is happening is the DOT is putting that in there. And I believe that we should ask that it be removed. But that's what I will do in my personal comments. But I don't know if there's any process by which we can get a city comment in time.
City staff can give comments, and I've previously given comments on the capacity increases on behalf of city staff.
Would it be appropriate for you to pass along the commission's concerns?
I will discuss that with administration.
Yeah, and Tim. Okay. Is that a concern of anybody else?
It's a concern of me.
Yes,
So, yeah,
yeah.
I think we've talked about this at length, but
Well, and the way the whole thing was structured is if you want the good stuff, well, you can't have that unless you also take this additional capacity.
Yeah.
the other thing that's frustrating about this process is that they're not doing induced demand modeling, they're not doing greenhouse gas emissions, they're not looking at induced flooding for more pavement until they get to the NEPA stage, which means they've already decided what they're gonna do.
Right.
Whereas they're looking at everything else now, weighing out what will happen with the bike lanes. They're not looking at any of the environmental factors until they've decided what they want.
Eliminated transit solutions.
Right.
Because, they don't help with their throughput goals, I guess.
And they're not looking at the Arboretum. They said that'll come, they'd have to expand into the Arboretum. They said that'll come during NEPA, which means they've already picked a project, are committed to it, and are figuring out how to move it forward. So it feels like it's not a locally preferred alternative if they're not providing.
I like this discussion, but I wonder if we're currently violating open
over the
meetings.
line. Just for anybody who may be watching, NEPA is the National Environmental Protection Act, which is, when you hear about environmental impact studies, that's what they're talking about. All right, sorry to derail your staff.
That's all right.
Let's have what you prepared to really talk to us about.
Another locally preferred alternative, the bus rapid transit LPA, was approved by the City of Madison on June 4th. City of Fitchburg staff has also been meeting with City of Madison staff and Dane County regarding the status of the BRT on Fish Hatchery Road. The county has some concerns, and we're
You're talking south of McKee or all of Fish Hatchery Road?
all of Fish Hatchery Road. So we're currently in discussions with them. The county's kind of in a transition period right now with the county executive. So navigating that is part of that.
Is
discussions.
Fish Hatchery Road, well, tell me about the rest of the BRT route. Is any other part of that BRT route owned by the county?
No other part of north-south BRT is owned by the county. There are state highways involved. Park Street is a state highway.
14. Yeah.
Yep. So they're
Is
in discussions with the state about
West Washington, is that
that's
technically?
It's also
part of
151.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it the county that the only one is making noise? The state's okay with it? The city's okay with it?
No, the state has some concerns too. They're just not in Fitchburg.
Okay.
What are the county's concerns?
The county's concerns, as far as I'm currently aware, mostly revolve around the fact that the changes that the city wanted in the 2020 and 2021 reconstruction basically upgrade Fish Hatchery Road from a county highway to a more urban street, and these BRT upgrades are just further along that spectrum. So
Yeah, but they agreed to those,
Correct,
but they didn't like them.
correct.
What don't they like?
The fact that it's more than a 2-lane rural highway.
But I thought we took over maintenance, if not maintenance and jurisdiction of that portion.
We took over winter maintenance. They're still responsible
Oh.
for pavement maintenance and technically for future reconstructions.
What about, yeah, but they're only responsible for 1 lane in each direction, is my understanding.
I don't believe that's how the
That's not
agreement's
how it's,
written.
that's not how it is now. McKee Road, we got jurisdiction, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why I get confused. Vis-a-vis that, I was very excited to see that the city of Madison is looking at moving the curbs on South Park and having parking protected one-way bicycle lanes on each side of their part. And, you know, they are able to move the curb and we can't, we're told. So, but I was concerned about both Park Street and South Fish, did we rename that part of the street to be North Fish Hatchery?
No.
Because the street signs say North Fish Hatchery.
The street signs do say that. I believe the official name is Fish Hatchery Road. I don't.
Yes,
believe
and it
there's a
changes at
north and a
McKee to
south.
South Fish Hatchery.
I don't even know if that's true.
That
It
has
says
been.
it on the signs.
No, that has been historically true because of the, you know, if you look at old plats, because that portion is south of the fish hatchery.
Oh,
Yeah.
The rest
I'd
is,
have to double check with.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
but we digress.
Yeah.
So we are understanding that the county doesn't like the bigness, basically, because they may be on the hook to keep it up over the years.
They won't be on the hook to keep it up, but they still don't like it.
Okay.
wait, didn't you say they were responsible?
Oh, for the reconstruction, yes. For the BRT, they won't be responsible.
Right.
Can they block it? They get to vote on the LPA, right?
I am not certain if they get a vote on the LPA, but
Okay. Because we don't want them to vote against it.
they could block it in other ways. But we're working through that.
Okay.
Does the LPA, is that like a veto vote? Or just
What
doesn't
you need
look good?
is to move forward, tell me if I'm wrong, to move forward with small starts, you have to have a unanimous LPA.
Yes.
The question is whether the county gets a vote. If they own the road, they probably do.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I can follow up on that.
Okay.
Anything else on BRT?
Now we have a discussion item about transit later, but no.
So Fitrona Road reconstruction, I just kind of wanted to go through, since that's a major bike route and obviously transportation corridor. We're meeting with the we've met with the town of Verona regarding the cost share on that project. That's been a big topic of discussion. So we're trying to iron out an intergovernmental agreement for that cost share. And then our consultant is finalizing plans, specifications, construction estimate, and the transportation project plat. Once we have the transportation project plat, we will put out an RFP for real estate acquisition services.
Okay, that's basically the roundabout.
There's other areas as well, but a lot of it is in the roundabout.
How much right of way do we need to purchase?
I don't have an exact number off the top of my head. We've only been submitted a draft transportation project plat. I'll give an estimate of around an acre for the whole project.
And
That's
how do the
including TLE.
neighbors feel about that? In general?
There's there's two parcels that are the vast majority of the permanent property acquisition. They are not the biggest fans of the project.
Because their driveway is gonna empty into a roundabout or a,
They empty out south of the roundabout, but
okay.
they're into one of the legs, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get into that part of the project soon, so.
Okay.
Any other questions there?
Not on Fisherona,
All right.
by me.
Then some other stuff under construction, Scion Road Phase 1, we've taken ownership of that traffic signal. Scion Road Phase 2, we're in the utility coordination phase. We're kind of coming up on deadlines for that project from the state. So we're working through that with the utilities, and Scion Road Phase 3 is in roughly the same stage as Phase 2.
Okay, and the boundary is around West Clayton?
Correct. Between Phase 2 and Phase 3.
Yep.
Phase 3 is mainly the intersection with McCoy. Any other, construction questions on any other projects?
The
Yes.
streetlights came.
Yes, they're being installed right now.
Okay, and there's going to be a temporary closure of the roundabout to get that
June
done?
18th and 19th.
Yes, this is the Lacey and Seminole roundabout, to install the 10 streetlights in the roundabout. They'll need to close definitely on June 18th and possibly the 19th as well. We're hoping that's just a one-day closure, but we've got it set up for a 2-day closure. That's a complete closure, no traffic. We've had LED signboards up stating that for about a week now.
Yep, and so people will use things like Muchler and Crescent Crossing and Sub-Zero Parkway to get around there.
Correct.
Okay. You're not gonna post any of those, right? Just
No,
let them filter
correct.
through.
Correct. And we've reached out to Sub-Zero, Promega, and the school district to let them know to let their employees go different directions, because that's the main source of traffic around there.
And have Crescent Crossing residents been informed that they're about to see a bunch of traffic again?
They have not specifically been informed.
Do they have a neighborhood association or a homeowners association?
I'm not sure.
What if you were to contact Meridian? Would they have a mailing list of those people? Just an idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or
if
at
they
least
do or not.
get signage out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, we were gonna put up the same signage we had when the last time the intersection was closed.
Just to make sure people get through there expeditiously and don't get lost wandering around, or?
We put up yield signs at a few
Okay.
intersections, temporary yield signs.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Any other questions about construction projects now or pending? Okay.
All right. Then some of our kind of study type projects. Osmondson Road traffic calming. We're still in the traffic calming committee stage of that project. I'm finalizing a survey to go out to the neighborhood to get the full neighborhood's thoughts on various items. That's been, you might have heard me say that before because it's been in the works for a while now.
And the options for them are speed platform?
Do you want to throw up a survey and show the pictures?
I can, yes. Let me navigate to that quickly. To sign in, sorry.
Oh, foreign laptop, yeah.
We're gonna do two-factor authentication and then
Get scanned.
yeah.
Where's my screen share?
I guess in other vaguely construction-related news, there's a crosswalk now in McKee Farms Park where the 4 trails meet with the road that goes in and out.
Oh, good.
And there's a fresh stripe of paint along Fish Hatchery Road, just north of Sherrill Drive, where there's no
Oh, saw
physical
that.
separation between the path and the road.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess just while we're talking about painting, Pembroke and Raritan, we've painted stop bars, put up larger stop signs, and there will be retroreflective tape on those stop sign posts.
Good. Do we have the capability to paint small projects like stop bars and crosswalks in-house?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna put in a
That's
request.
all the painting that Bill and I just mentioned was done in-house.
That's cool. The,
Steve's got a list.
what?
You have a list?
Well, one has been bothering me for a long time is Nobel Drive on the Oak Meadow side. When it was seal coated, the stop bar was put back, but the crosswalk was not. And so that's, a busy.
I think that's on I've got a Google map in process where I'm looking at all the trail crossings and which ones, at least based on the current satellite photography, which ones don't have a crosswalk.
By the way, I was looking over the resurfacing, the surface maintenance plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, on my list of things to ask you about was East Badger Road bike lanes, because they are so gone. You can stand at Rimrock Road and look up the hill and see them on Ski Lane, but you cannot discern them on the way up there except by cracking where, the pavement cracks because of the paint shrinkage and things like that. It's great that they're on the list for
Okay. That's what I was going to
refreshed.
ask if they weren't on the plans.
Yes,
Okay.
no, they are on that list, and
Okay.
for that I am very excited.
So going back to Osmondson, there's 3 of these surveys, all for the different neighborhoods within Osmondson. There's 3 neighborhoods there.
Mhm.
So these vary slightly, but they're pretty much the same.
The show is one.
Yeah, this is the Seminole Forest.
Yep.
So are you in favor of speed humps? Then I've got a list of addresses. Traffic circles, the intersections that I name in this question vary based on the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Use the Apache and Crescent one as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Pedestrian areas at intersections, basically intersection choking with flexible delineators.
And would that be a quick build with later permanent bump outs in mind, or maybe?
That's a possibility, but this question is just for flexible delineators. Bike lanes, just regular configuration, driving lanes, bike lanes, then parking lanes.
Actually, I did have a question on that. So it says 2 parking lanes, 2 bike lanes, 2 driving lanes. I don't see how cars can park in that particular picture.
This one, that is technically designated as a parking lane, it is too narrow. Osmondson has plenty of space to make everything the right width.
You want to put a different picture in up by Jamestown Hugel Park, where that area was repaired, has striped parking lanes and bike lanes
Okay.
of proper width.
There will be another question in here about painted multi-use path on one side of the road. That will probably be the new question 6. And then physical narrowing. This is a question that the Traffic Calming Committee wanted in the survey. but will not be done as part of this project.
Is it the cost or?
Yes.
Pavement lasts about 25 years, curb and gutter lasts about 50 years, and it's really expensive.
Yeah.
$300,000 apparently.
That's just for Seminole Forest, so multiply that by roughly 3 and you get the whole length of Osmondson. And there will also be questions of, other like text box questions for, choose your own traffic calming. And then another question about, do you think we need traffic calming on Osmondson at all, yes or no? So.
I like the pictures. It looks really nice.
If you imagine this kind of neck down on all 4 sides, and then you put just a little mini sidewalk here, is that kind of design what you're thinking about with the delineators?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that with
And
concrete.
Yeah, and I also proposed something to the traffic calming committee that was, instead of having sidewalk in there, it was just left at asphalt. So it was just a couple of concrete islands at each corner of the intersection. And some people liked that, some people didn't, so that's why we decided to go with the flexible delineators instead.
Okay.
Let's see, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you for showing us that.
Yeah.
Since none of us live in that neighborhood.
And then my last piece is Wayland Road paved shoulders. We just signed the engineering services agreement for that, so we're going to be holding a kickoff meeting with staff and the design consultant hopefully next week.
Great.
So that's all I got.
Any questions for staff? Always reminds you how they refer to the judge as the court. Our staff. All right, on to council items. This looks like an easy one. Let's start with a motion to recommend approval.
I move approval of resolution R10424 approving TPP amendment number 2 related to reconstruction of Cyan Road Phase 3.
Very good. For any second?
Second.
Thank you, Gabriella. There is, for anyone who's watching, a TPP is a transportation project plat, and that's a term of art in statute, right?
Yes.
I think so. All right, so staff report then.
So this is another amendment to the Cyan Road Phase 3 reconstruction project, TPP, which was adopted by council on October 24th, 2023 as part of R 185-23. This TPP needs to be revised to remove an MMSD easement. That easement is north of the project limits, so it should not be shown on this TPP as it's not related to the project.
There is an MMSD on the plat that's in the packet. Is that the old one? Or is there another MMSD? Down here there's a list of easements. Keep going. Oh, go to the bottom of this sheet. Isn't that what that is?
Yes, so this is an easement that is in.
That's a different
Do you want to
easement,
share
right?
your screen? Ron?
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, I wish there was a red line version of this, so we could see what was removed.
The lesson for me about this is that transportation project plats are hard to get right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the parcel that Steve was just referring to is this number 107, which is in the project limits, and the other one is further north.
And so this is the new version.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I think we should not be a obstacle to getting this right. So, any discussion on this item? All right, the motion is to recommend approval. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that was unanimous. Let the record show it was unanimous. Micah, you come through with a little bit of a delay, so we just wait for you. All right, on to...
I'll try to be quicker.
No, I think it's the network and not you.
You're worth the wait.
Yeah, if you could just anticipate what I'm going to ask and vote in advance, that would...
Aye.
All right, well, thank that one. Number 7, Bill, your report from any transportation-related shenanigans of the council.
Well, I've got a long list of updates that are either directly or tangentially related to transportation and transit, most of which have to do with land use, which, as we all know, is tied intimately with transportation. So we did, we considered an ordinance change 2024-0-07 defining a new medium-high density residential land use. So medium was defined as 5 to 9 and high was anything over 9. And so they wanted something in between, and it came to us as 9 to 15. Council said, hey, 15 still seems pretty low for medium high, so can we bump that up to 20? It's kicked back to Plan Commission for now, yes.
Okay.
We're gonna have another tax incremental district, number 18. This one is gonna be north of Lacey Road in the current quarry area there by Quarry Ridge and Sub-Zero and the new Promega facility there.
You mean Corey Vista?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, quarry something.
Mm-hmm.
This will be the north side of Lacey, and then the south side of Lacey will be where the South Stoner Prairie neighborhood is going in at some point in the future. Parks Commission is working on the Southdale Park Plan. We may or may not want to keep that in mind as we consider, whatever path we're going to use to connect Southdale to the Cap City Trail. The city has attained a AAA rating from Moody's. I don't know whether that's gonna help, but it certainly can't hurt our chances at getting grants and or more favorable interest rates, so future projects may be a little bit easier because of that. The Jamestown Quarry Development resolution passed, which is gonna be, do you remember how many housing units? There's one building there, it's like 4 stories, it's gonna be several hundred units.
Yeah, I don't have the exact number of units, it's a multifamily, 6.5 acres, 4 stories.
It's gonna be on the south edge, right? On the north edge?
The north edge, yes. And then,
The Wimber Quarry.
yeah, so immediately north of McKee on the south end of that parcel, we're gonna get a strip mall,
Power Center.
2 or 3 fast food restaurants with drive-throughs and a car wash, and 3
Look, you
quarters of
voted
it.
against that comprehensive development plan.
I did.
Thank you.
3/4 of that acreage is parking lot and or roads to get you in and out of there.
Is it a disaster? And it'll be low tax value, and what meager taxes we'll get from them will go to paying back some TIF loans.
Right. But one important interaction that occurred, I said, hey, why do we have 3/4 of this as parking lot? And the developer came back and said, we don't want to put in this much parking. This is what the city says we have to put in. So there's a future topic for Plan Commission. And we can probably discuss that as well, I would think. Other developments that are ongoing, there's one out in Terra Vesta we just approved. This is right across the street from the school parking lot. There's going to be 12 attached single-family homes there. You mentioned Oak Meadow. There's a plot of land that's been sitting vacant for in excess of a decade, apparently. That was downzoned from medium-density residential to low-density residential And now there's a proposal to put 11 single-family homes and 1 detention pond in there or something like that.
Of all the comprehensive plan amendments this year, I thought that was the only one that went in the wrong direction. So I was willing to not make a big fuss about it because all the rest were getting more density and more utilization and more value. That has nothing to do with that live up the hill.
Okay.
I'd rather have townhouses, but no one asked me.
The ordinance change for our charter passed with an amendment that basically says, we'll always try and get someone from the Bike and Ped Commission first, but if nobody is willing or able, then we will pull in a regular citizen member to fill our vacancy.
Is that operational in any way? Did they define how hard we have to try or?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure we're just supposed to talk to them and say, pretty please, won't somebody join us?
I mean, it sounds like the people on Bike and Ped, nobody wanted to serve, so they passed the BPW amendment because they didn't want to, I guess, have the commitment, which everyone defended, and I was like, I don't know, don't talk to me, I'm on way too many committees already, so I don't for someone that doesn't want to come, but, we can't force people to come. I kind of thought we should still pass it, but it didn't seem like it was a priority, and I guess in that case, if we could get someone from BPW to come, we could do that instead. Like, there's a possibility of having different committees.
Right, so now, because we've said it's gonna be a citizen member, there's nothing that says that citizen can't currently be, sitting on some other committee or commission.
And it's better to have somebody than constantly have it vacant, I guess.
Yes.
Would probably be the case, so.
We had a presentation from the planning department on the Greenfield neighborhood, and some of the options they are proposing include a new interchange on Highway 14 at or near Irish Lane. And I don't know, the timing on Greenfield, something like that, are we talking 10 years or 25 years?
Probably somewhere in between ideally, but I think for the interchange it would be closer to 25 if I had to guess.
Okay, and if that's the case, I guess we've been waiting for 30 plus years for the passenger rail, but I'm still hopeful that will come to fruition and we can utilize that.
How many miles south of the existing Lacey Road interchange is that? Am I seeing 3? I'm counting sections on the map
I
there.
think
Looks like
that's
3 1/4.
close to correct. I think what you're getting at is WISDOT has,
They'll have a cow.
Yes, that's what we're getting.
we've had initial conversations with WISDOT, and that is a hurdle that staff is looking into.
I think that we should go instead for a Reconnecting America grant to have a overpass or underpass there and not connect to the highway, because if you have too many connections, CF Beltline,
Yes.
then it ruins the highway as a highway, and the highway itself is already ruining the local road network.
We do have an underpass there, or the highway has an overpass. I
That's
guess.
right. So there you go. We're done. Irish Lane.
So when I measured, it's a little over 1.6 miles from the Lacey Road interchange
Irish
to
Lane.
Irish Lane.
Oh. I must be counting half sections or something. All right. That's exactly what I'm doing.
And the final thing is the Dane County Regional Housing Strategy has put out a ton of documentation. You get at it at rhs.danecounty.gov. Gabrielle and I were 2 of the people who attended the meeting in late April, where they told us in the slideshow presentation that from 2011 to 2017 or something like that, Dane County underperformed by 11,000 housing units based on the number of people moving to Dane County, and it's only been worse since then. And of course, more housing obviously equals land use and transportation planning.
Those people are squeezing out the vacancies, and there's no more to squeeze.
Right.
All right, any questions on the council? Do you have any questions about the council? All right.
She's got better notes than me.
Bike and Ped Committee?
Sure. So for Bike and Ped Committee, Commission, sorry.
Yeah.
Good correction.
It's a new habit we have.
They also, this was before this common council meeting, so they also acted on ordinance 2024-0-11, which was amending the composition of TTC. They also, they approved the amendments that BPW made, making that just a citizen appointment and not necessarily someone from BPW. I gave a report on projects impacting the bike network. That was very similar to the report I just gave this commission. And they also discussed a committee of the whole presentation. They want to inform council of the work they've been doing and the work they plan to do in the future.
Specifically regarding the bike and pedestrian plan, or just a larger full scope in general?
I think that would be the focus at this point, but not specifically limited to that.
Yeah, they really, going from my discussions with Mark Hamilton, they really feel like they should have a more activist role in city planning. Heretofore, they really haven't had much time to do anything but hear a staff report every 2 months, and they're looking forward to being able to start to really address issues.
Maybe they should send somebody to the transportation committee. Maybe they should send somebody to the transportation committee,
Maybe,
which has a planning rep.
yeah. I'll talk to Mark about that. Would you like to make a brief report on the
Sure.
Plan Commission
Bill stole a whole
activities?
bunch of mine, so I'm gonna make this faster. So there's a development in Swan Creek that's still moving forward. It's 65 very small single-family homes on this empty plot of land.
And they had to amend the neighborhood plan to get more density, right?
Well, so they had to be a minor comp plan amendment. It basically was the difference between 60 units and 66 units.
Oh,
And
I was
so,
hoping for more. But
yeah, I know. I think I personally was hoping for more as well, but that was what even that was too many for the neighborhood. The neighborhood was unhappy with it.
They still don't like the D word.
But they did a traffic analysis and are not concerned that the street was designed for a lot more traffic than what we'll be learning with that. So that continues to move forward. There's an event venue, restaurant/event venue on Anton Drive, where the Mad Power training is right now. That was pretty controversial. It was approved with a ton of conditions. So I don't know if it will move forward or not, but they really wanted to stay open to 2 a.m. on the weekends, and that was a no. But they're also promising to keep all the traffic in parking lots, and we don't want any of the parking on the streets, and so streets are already quite filled with residential parking. So we'll see if that actually leads to a true venue. And then, the Rimrock Road. There's a parcel on Rimrock Road off of Drive that has been under discussion for a long time, but it's going to be about 18 units. It's a mix of
cottage court is, I think, the type of development there.
Yeah. So it's some
Little private
townhouses, a couple of small homes, owner occupied. That development's been
originally going to be, 24 homes?
It was going to be
plus a
4.
daycare, and the neighbors didn't like that.
There has been some adjustments to meet
so-
neighborhood desire,
Right.
but looks like it's moving forward. There's a lot more steps, but they just finished the certified survey map, so that was the next step. There's some more. The 4th edition to Terra Besa has been generally approved, so that's going to start getting. We just created 12 buildable lots, so that's moving forward. And then a couple other things related to the Swan Creek development. And yeah, that's all.
I have a question about Carriage Court that you brought up, speaking of Mad Power training. Carriage Street, is that still belong to the city, or was that ceded to the adjacent landowners?
It would have been renamed Carriage Way, wouldn't it?
I can
I was just wondering if that impacts the project and gives them a possibility of more parking or anything.
We had no discussion about that at all.
Okay.
It never came up.
My hope was with the Verona Road project that would be connected to Sprocket Drive over and eliminate another transportation barrier that we have on our north belt line. If I've not mentioned it here before, everyone knows that the belt line and Stoughton Road form a kind of constriction around Madison and interrupts their transportation. We have a similar problem with the Verona Road and Route 14 and the belt line as it constricts Fitchburg. And so I'm always looking for ways to make those barriers more porous.
Carriage Street is still a city street.
Okay. So maybe we still get that Reconnecting America grant. Okay. Thank you, Gabriella. So a couple of how are we doing for time? A couple of discussion items that I had teed up. First of all, possible grant submissions. I regret to notice too late that this table this was brought from our last discussion, our last meeting.
I think this first discussion item is Vision Zero and possible grant submission. Is that what you're?
Well, this is about the grants.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there are all these federal grants, programs that run across the top of this table, and these are all the things that they can fund. Now they can fund a lot more things. These are just the bicycle and pedestrian things that they can fund, because this was put together by Rails to Trails Consortium or somebody, one of the bike advocacy organizations. I was thinking that with all of these different programs, we should be aiming toward getting some help, financial help, with our Vision Zero action plan. And once we have a plan, going to a number of these programs, Safe Streets for All, Active Transportation, the existing safety grants, to help build some of the things we want to build. So, do you have any comments, things currently in progress or things that are happening at the MPO?
I do.
Good, I'll start with staff reports.
So the MPO is putting together a joint submission for a Safe Streets for All grant, planning grant. The current municipalities in the MPO that have locked in are Cottage Grove and Verona, and Madison. Sun Prairie is a possibility. They've expressed interest, but their main staff member who was pushing for that left for another
They have a Vision
job.
Zero program.
Mm-hmm. For the Safe Streets for All planning grant, you can apply for several different types of plans, not just Vision Zero plans. They can be active transportation or safe routes to school, or a bunch of different other things. And Fitchburg is also interested in applying for this. The mayor is in favor of us going in on this joint submission. So I've told the MPO that we are interested in being a part of it and that we will be putting a resolution forward to get council approval of that.
Great. And that is a necessary step. Are there other things that we need to do to be in on this?
Not on the initial application. The initial application just requires a resolution.
Okay.
After that, there will be more steps if we are awarded this grant, because the submission that I'm looking at is a Vision Zero action plan, which then unlocks the Safe Streets for All implementation grants, which I think is what you were referring to for doing some of those projects identified by this action plan.
So that'll be referred to us, right?
Yes.
Good.
The cost that we're kind of just ballpark looking at for a Vision Zero action plan is $300,000. This Safe Streets for All grant is an 80 federal and 20% local match. So our part of it would be $60,000. So this would require a budget amendment from a grant fund that the city has. We would be putting this into a transportation-related fund that.
So there's
fits
money
this.
there that has to be reallocated into this?
Correct.
The money was designated for this kind of purpose?
Yes, basically this grant fund is designated for,
Local.
so we're able to take up opportunities that come up without having to say, well, we don't have the money allocated,
Right,
so we can't apply right now.
Where do
Maybe
we
cut
sit
something.
with our intracity transit money, that 25K for that? Is that something we'd put in here as well, or?
I haven't looked into that. Basically that money is still available. I put out an RFP for the intracity transit study, got no responses. And I asked a couple of the plan holders why they didn't actually submit a proposal. And I got varied responses. Some where the budget is too low, some where the RFP was too vague. So we're discussing that internally right now. I don't know if that would fit in a Vision Zero action plan,
Well,
but it is something that
I
could
mean-
be included in the Safe Streets for All.
We tried to, we had the 25K, we tried to get
Mhm.
bidders and nobody
Mhm.
said they were interested, and I didn't know what the current status was. So if we were gonna give up on that, might as well throw the dollars elsewhere.
That would be another budget amendment,
But, yeah, but
amending the 2023 budget. Continue.
That's basically what I've got. on
Okay.
that.
That sounds good.
So is there gonna be a resolution in council then? Are we gonna? sign it?
Yes.
Okay.
I just got confirmation from the mayor on that yesterday or the day before, so.
This is under possible grant submissions, but not necessarily Vision Zero related. I had talked to Ross and I wanted to talk to all of you to get feedback. On the active transportation, the ATPII or something like that, ATIIP grant program. They are putting out $15 million sized grants, just a few nationwide, but they're putting out much smaller grants those are for building, much smaller grants for planning. And Madison got a grant, I don't know if it was from that program, $1 million to plan the Perry Street overpass, which would connect eastern Fitchburg to the Park Street corridor, northeastern Fitchburg. And so it has raised in my mind the idea that we should be trying to get a project ready to connect the Capital City Trail at Cyene Road to Post Road. That would be a boardwalk. It would be of the type that we see on the Lower Yahara River Trail. It goes 100% across county land and 100% in the city of Fitchburg, so it could be relatively easy to administer. And the Bike Fed was asked by the DOT to please come up with shovel-ready projects for $22 million worth of Transportation Alternatives Program money that was going to lapse back to the federal government. And the Bike Fed came up with a bunch of projects and saved a lot of that money for Wisconsin. And so this happens every 2 years, is that money that doesn't get used for TAP gets reallocated. And so this is in addition to applying for TAP funding, it's a way to get this money if you have projects ready. So I was eager to propose that the city undertake to plan this project, even feasibility budget level, as a first step, because the Perry Street overpass is going to happen now. It's in the Beltline PEL study, and I've been pushing it for about 12 years now as an important place that right now people in that part of the city have to go either over Fish Hatchery Road or Rimrock Road. They can't get to 14 and Park Street. I'm interested in staff comments and any of your comments as to whether this is a good idea for us to try to pursue.
So then you're thinking from the Sain-McCoy intersection up to Post Road, and then between Post Road and Stewart Street to get you onto Perry, that?
So then it would be City of Madison project.
Okay, yeah.
Because the city,
Right.
the
Post
city
Road.
line is just there at Post Road.
Yeah.
So Madison, of course, is very interested in this kind of connectivity too, connecting to us. So I'm sure that we could influence them to at least stripe bike lanes, but there could be more elaborate facilities. I see the Perry Street Bridge serving like the Seminole Highway Bridge does to get bikes and peds and transit over the Beltline safely, and not how the Rimrock and Fish Hatchery bridges are, which are terrifying.
I mean, I think it certainly sounds like a good idea. I guess my only question is just concerned about staff capacity.
Clearly.
Just because it's not like Ross doesn't have a lot on his plate, so, lovely idea, but I think it all depends on what's feasible with the.
Right,
with
and
the
also
area.
what our priorities are. I mean, one could decide it's important. I'm sure you have an opinion that you would share.
Yeah, I think this is a good project that will be very expensive because of its location.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my main take on it.
Yeah, well, it'll be similar, I think, in scale to the Hare River Bridge, right? So we can get a very good estimate, adjusting for inflation. From that, it would be that kind of a project.
Mm-hmm.
But with TAP funding, isn't there always a city match? Or
It's
is it-
generally 80-20.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a concern.
But, see, this
Maybe
is all county land. And this is one of these key connectors. So I think that on top of that could be a park grant. That's the Park and Ride, I forget what the acronym stands for, but a county grant. The bridge, the first green bridge over Fish Hatchery Road was 80-20 local match, but Dane County paid 10% and the city paid 10%. So, and that's because the carries the Capital City State Trail.
Well, maybe it should be a Dane County project.
Maybe.
Maybe it should be
I
100%.
I would be all for that.
Give it to the county.
I would be totally in favor of that if we could convince Chris Janes.
Yeah.
And
I worry about that.
they could be the lead agency on it,
Yeah.
but it certainly serves our interests and Madison's as well. So, do we have any idea of when this mythical grant writer is going to appear on the scene?
So the
That's in the budget for this year.
grant writer is not a person, it is money.
It's a
fund.
pot of money
Yeah.
to hire consultants for one-offs primarily.
Exactly. So I recently spoke with Chad about that fund. It's available, and we've got several TAP type grants that we're looking at using some of that money for. We're trying to focus on grant applications that we estimate could be done under the $5,000 mark, just because the approvals inside the city are much easier. So there's several items in the CIP that we're looking at applying for those grants for, like the bike path at the near the Leopold School. That's kind of tied in with the hub project. And then also on McKee Road, we're looking to replace water main on the south side of McKee Road, which will involve removing all the sidewalk, and we're looking to replace that sidewalk with a multi-use path.
And then the project that was originally a multi-use path on the north side would become a sidewalk?
That there's nothing in that CIP item for anything on the north side.
Okay.
Apropos to the discussion about the grant writer, at last night's EV 101 event at the library, I had a conversation with a woman who was on the committee working with the city's sustainability plan. And Tuesday was the final meeting for that commission or committee. And she was she's like, so now we're done, I can't help anymore, I want to help more. And she said she's got grant writing experience, so she actually exchanged contact information with the mayor, so it's possible that she will also be writing grants for the city, and Julia specifically mentioned to her transportation related grants, and she didn't flinch.
Okay,
so
that's good.
Perhaps.
And then the other, just to go back to stuff that's in the CIP that we were looking at grants for, the Southdale bike connector, we were looking at the carbon reduction program as a grant for that project.
That's at Federal Highways, right?
Yes, it's administered through the state, but it is from Federal Highways originally. The money's from Federal Highways.
So when we say Southdale connector, this is along Double M?
Yes.
Yes, so this, I have in my notes, and I forgot to mention it, a similar project that I believe we should get shovel ready is the Southdale, what I'm calling the Southdale Greenway. That would connect the Capital City Trail to Ski Lane. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes, I don't think we'd call out Ski Lane in the CIP, but yes.
Yep.
Cap City Trail to the Southdale neighborhood.
Yep. So, very, very similar kind of a thing. That one has the advantage that it scores very well through the equity lens. Is there anything we can do between now and our next meeting to help with any of these kinds of things? Write our alders?
I think all of this right now is at the staff level to put the approvals through.
Okay. Any other remarks before we leave this topic?
As long as we're talking about connecting the Cap City Trail to things north of the Cap City Trail, I'll just note that there is a rail line that's, roughly splits the difference between Double M and the Sain-McCoy intersection. And, if we had one trail going up there that would then head east to Ski Lane as well as heading west and north a little bit. I don't know if that's...
The experience of the county with trying to do the Lower Yahara River Trail is that state DOT is not prepared to bully Wisconsin and Southern into their protective rights of the right-of-way. DOT owns it, but Wisconsin and Southern operates it. And so the Lower Yahara River Trail, which was originally imagined to be along the railroad tracks, had to be outside the right-of-way, hence the bridge.
Interesting.
So we can expect the same treatment here, even though that used to be single-tracked and there's, except for the bridge over Nine Springs Creek being missing, there is a gravel road that runs all the way up to US 14. In a similar vein, the PEL study imagines Rolfsmeyer Road or nearby being connected across the railroad tracks and the E-Way and US 14 to the Southdale neighborhood.
Hooking up to Novation Parkway, probably.
They are not there. This is a big blurry concept. But the idea is that that is a barrier and that barrier could, given boatloads of money, be breached. I think that if you start looking at another path farther east, then that thing comes into play because that's your connection between the two places that you would be getting to. So I just throw that out, but that's in like the 2050 kind of time frame. You know, nobody is writing grants for feasibility studies for that. Anything else? All right, seeing nothing, we have a little bit more time. Let's talk about transit service. And I thought that what I wanted to tee up is, we know that the city, in the fullness of time, when BRT South gets built, it will come down to Trevorton Pike and Brendan. And when it does, there will be something done to get the rest of the way to City Hall. And the question is, could Route B, which is the current bus line using conventional buses that ends in Hatchery Hill, be extended down there now? And could 65 or 75 be extended up to that point? And we know where the BRT station is going to be, and we are confident that we are going to get the grant and that it will be built.
So you're talking about Trevorton and Brendan?
Yes.
Trevorton and Brendan.
Clarify, yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry if I misspoke and said the wrong thing. But we don't really want to change 75 because 75 is the middle of the route. Whereas both B and 65, we're talking about the ends of those routes. So if we could bring 65 up to the future BRT station or to Hatchery Hill, and if we don't bring it to Hatchery Hill, if we could bring B down to the future BRT station, then we would have that connection. And we don't need to wait till 2029 to do that. But we do, but it would cost a lot. So I wanted to get other people's ideas on that. Is that something that the Transportation Commission, or Transportation and Transit Commission, wants to advocate for? And because if nobody else, if we don't, I don't think anybody else will.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I've heard you say it in a meeting. I don't know if it was in TTC or another
I
meeting.
brought this up several times.
Yeah, as long as this is a future plan, and putting 75 and 65 and extending to all-day service and using the Trevorton Pike area there along McKee and Brendan as the, why don't we establish that now? And then when Rapid Route B comes to fruition, we just continue that.
Yeah, because I remember the original conversation about bringing it down to City Hall. was just like way too expensive, but bringing it down a little farther might stay within there. Anyway, let's let Ross speak.
So just for some context, as far as I'm aware right now, the operational funding for this extension in whatever form it would take, whether it's the B coming further south or the 65 going further north, is part of the referendum proposal.
Oh, good.
So we had asked Metro costs for this. Everything's, any way you do it, it's roughly the same, because you're adding the same amount of hours to our contract. So we used the numbers they gave us and added that as part of the
Does
the
that
referendum.
envision 65 all day?
Yes, this would be both the 65 and the 75 within Fitchburg would be all-day routes with hourly or better service.
Okay, so B is an all-day route. And
Yes.
if 65 were to be extended during only commuter hours to Hatchery Hill as an interim step, that would be way cheaper. Because you're only adding a little bit on to the end of the runs that are happening right now. And maybe would not require the
Extending both of them, right, to the Treverton.
Well, he's saying instead of bringing B down to Fish Hatch and McKee, extend 65, which is currently only commuter hours.
So
Well,
65 is like 8 runs in the morning.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying it will bypass that whole, I think for the purpose of bringing it down to that area is to connect that area to the transit route. If you just run 65 up, it's gonna bypass that area entirely. But, I mean, of course you could, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
It could turn, well, it's not impossible for it to make the left turn into Brendan and pick people up, if that's where you're talking about.
Yeah,
well,
because there's no.
no, you just have to loop around. So you go up to McKee and take the left turn and come down
There's the
Treverton.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just as an interim step, we would have the civic campus connected to the Fish Hatchery and McKee corridors during commuter hours.
So right now, the 65 does not go up to McKee.
Correct. It
Stops at City Hall.
Right.
It does this loop right here.
Right.
And I have the route right here. This is the 65.
I think the question, I guess, is like, can we do it in a more stepwise fashion rather than package it all?
Well, what I'm thinking of is that the referendum is gonna take, what, a year to get to happen?
No, it probably would, if it's gonna happen, it may happen in November.
Okay, and
So,
so,
yeah, but,
But yeah,
and then
the
it would
budget.
affect the 2025 budget. So
Yes.
there would be an omnibus amendment if the referendum passes
to add a whole bunch of things in,
Yes.
including revenue. Well, I can wait for that. But if it fails, or if we decide not to have one, then this could be another step that we could
Yes.
take.
Do we have approximate costs?
Yes.
We don't, but he does.
Yeah, and I just wonder if it's like split out by the different, the different pieces of it, or if it's just one
It's
package?
not. So the increase to get all-day service to City Hall, let me just read through this quickly so I remember which numbers I'm supposed to tell
Hold
you.
the right ones.
I believe the amount we have in the referendum is about $350,000.
Yeah.
It's a little bit higher than what we got from Metro Transit, because the numbers we got from Metro Transit include participation from the city of Verona, aka Epic,
Yeah,
and we do not anticipate Epic
they're not gonna fund
wanting
that.
to have all-day bus service.
And is there, so the 300K, would that be like 100% of the funding, or would there be additional funding, matching funding that would kick in?
That would fund all of this,
Okay.
That would fund our part of all of this.
which
So-
is all of this.
Because
Well-
right now, we spend this much, but there's also this much that comes in from,
Yes, so the way transit is approximately funded in Dane County is about half of it comes from state and federal, about a quarter of it comes from fares, and about a quarter of it is the local contribution. And the way Metro allocates the cost is that they run all the costs that are affected by how many hours that they run the buses, fuel and drivers and maintenance and everything, over the whole system, and they divide that by the number of route hours in the entire system. And then they charge us that per hour charge for all the route hours inside our borders. So it's kind of fully loaded and includes everything.
but if we kick, my point is, if we kick in the extra 300,000, there's no matching federal and state that would automatically flow.
That's
with that.
already figured in the route hour charge.
I mean, what we apply for might go up, right? The state aid that we apply for, but.
Possibly. I would have to ask the state about their funding formula.
It's fraught
But I don't
because
think this would increase the amount that we're eligible for by a proportional
A
amount.
significant.
Yeah, I mean, so if 300K is part of our 1/4 local contribution, then, 600K would be the half that you said comes from the state and the feds, and that.
Well, I think what happens is that even though the amount of the federal money doesn't change, it's not like we have to pay 100% of the increase of service. What happens is that federal money gets spread over, and
All
the
of the-
fares get spread over the entire system, and so everybody would be paying marginally more because the federal aid is not changed. But the reason I say it's fraught is because the legislature hates Milwaukee and the majority hates Milwaukee and Madison, and they hate transit. And so they wrote special provisions to change the funding to limit the amount of funding that Madison and Milwaukee get, which is obviously a huge problem, but fair maps.
So in the non-peak version of the 75, would it still go to Verona? Or would it go, could we have it go to?
The 75 would be peak hours only from the Fitchburg border to Epic.
So
And it would be-
serve Super Target, but
Yes.
not West,
Correct.
unless Madison wanted it to serve Maple Grove.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And
So it would take people all the way down to that
Mhm.
area,
Yep.
okay.
And if we didn't want to pay that much, we could stop it somewhere else. I don't think that makes sense, but.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we want to bring people to that.
75 is
area.
great service if you ever have to get downtown.
Yeah, it is great.
Okay, well, that's what I wanted to discuss, and I am very happy that it's in the referendum and we don't need to do anything right now.
And-
Well, it's not yet, there's no vote yet.
Well, I mean,
But
Mhm.
it's.
it's on its,
Yeah, so it's
has been a little
penciled
bit.
in.
Just want to clarify.
What we're gonna ask for, right? I mean, nothing is as of yet set in stone in terms of what the actual ask is going to be.
That's not as crazy of a number as I thought it
Of the
would be.
citizens. What?
I guess as far as numbers go, that
Part of
didn't blow my mind.
Yeah, part of it is that there's no capital expense here. It's just, it's all operational. And it's every year we have
Yeah.
to pay that. so.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's,
but
it's
the
general.
referendum is for
Yes.
operational every year.
Okay,
Works out that. The other thing to bring up on this is in the mayor's proposed CIP, extending the actual BRT to City Hall is in that proposed CIP for 2033 at $5.5 million.
okay.
So, just so everyone is aware of that.
Okay.
It's far enough out that people may not
It's in
go
the back
crazy and
half.
kick it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right.
That is a good PSA though. I encourage everybody to hit the website, look at the CIP and it's probably only 700 pages or something.
It's in my inbox.
There'll be presentations.
Reminder to do it.
There'll be finance presentations on.
All right, future
24th and 25th, yeah.
Future agenda items. I want to talk about a Vision Zero resolution because the mayor asked me to submit one. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know
Is
about this
surface come
specifically
through
unless
staff?
it's the same one that I talked about earlier. I'm not sure.
Just the Vision Zero resolution, naming a year and 0 is the number, and committing to develop an action plan down the road. That's what that would involve.
Okay.
Do you see any giant barriers to that besides
No,
the council voting against it?
So if we are awarded the Safe Streets for All grant, we will need a Vision Zero resolution.
And it wouldn't hurt to have one now.
Right.
That would strengthen our application. And so the main thing with a Vision Zero resolution is that council members may be skittish about signing on without fully understanding everything that it involves. And so that's the main reason that we want to go to COW to talk to them about it. But if at the same time they're seeing a resolution to apply for a grant to pay for it, then that should ease the minds of our decision makers.
Question about that. Would you be open to that being a single resolution, or do you feel that it should be two separate resolutions?
What are the two parts?
The committing to funding for the Safe Streets for All grant.
Those are
and the
separate.
Vision Zero.
The Vision Zero resolution only needs to say by some number, 2030 for example, we commit to having no serious injuries and no deaths due to traffic violence, and we're going to get on a path and define an action plan to get there.
I agree they should be separate, I think.
It doesn't include the authorization to apply for the grant, for example. But it certainly would not include any of the expenses down the road. It's a comfort resolution.
Yeah.
Can't find future councils.
I have a suggestion for the agenda too. May I suggest that we put the reports from committees and commissions after discussion items?
Okay,
Because I think we get bogged down in that and run out of time for discussion.
I blame Bill.
Yeah. Well, no. It's just like you can speed through that, but you don't want to speed through the discussion items, so I think those should come
Okay.
discussions come first.
So Deanna, if you could change those next time, and we'll have a Vision Zero resolution discussion item. Maybe I can get something drafted for the packet. And then if we like it, or maybe can improve it, and then we can give it to the mayor, who could introduce it to the council to send it back to us.
For future, should we talk about the Beltline? Because we couldn't today. It'll be, this comment period will be closed, but my understanding is there will be
Oh, that'll
another
be the
one in
Epcot.
October.
Yeah, okay,
So-
that's a great idea. Okay,
There is also another, on the agenda, we have the 2025 design and construction projects as a possible future agenda item.
sure. Well, closer to the time, Ross, you and I can figure out how much we have time for
All right.
of those items, but we can put them all on as a draft. And whatever emergent things come up. Our next meeting is whatever the date was on the agenda.
July 11th.
Okay, thank you. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that, since we're 10 meetings for this year and we've done January through July, Now, I presume we're not doing one in December just because that's the least popular month.
It's December.
What other month will we not do?
August?
Well,
Or skip
my
July?
thought was to kind of monitor what we're getting from the council. And if we get something that we feel, if we get nothing, or if we get something that is not time sensitive, for example, a reorganization of our commissions and committees, then we could just say, we'll put it all off till next month. Does that seem like a reasonable thing to do, or do people want to plan vacations or something?
Well, I just will say that the first council meeting in July is typically off,
Correct.
which would be that week of the July 11th meeting.
Is that the sense of the council that we don't want to meet?
No, I'm just saying, like, for context, so.
Yep, no,
So nothing would be referred out at that meeting, because
yeah,
Right.
Things could be referred out at the
at the
next,
second June.
the second June.
yeah, there's two
Are there-
of yours a month,
Are there other committees and commissions that only meet
10
like,
times.
RCC.
less than 12
Yes,
that have
so the history,
specific dates that are?
RCC does.
I think we'll close out the meeting and I'll give you the history of that.
Okay.
So may I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
All in favor?
Second.
Thank you, Gabriella. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Micah, thank you for being here.